Located in South America, Chile is a land with few people and stunning scenery. In this forest that feels like paradise, a luxurious mansion stands quietly within. Michael feels thrilled about the life awaiting him. He's a professional hitman about to retire. The company will pay him a generous pension. With that money, Michael's future days could finally be free from worry. Pool parties, beautiful women, forbidden pleasures, and champagne. It seems that's all his life will be about from now on. To add to the joyful atmosphere, the seductive Cindy leans down toward him. At that moment, Michael is completely blinded by desire, forgetting all the sharp instincts of a killer. He doesn't even notice two assassins sneaking toward him from both sides, nor does he realize a sniper scope has already locked onto him. With a crisp gunshot, the bullet shatters the wine bottle and hits Michael dead on. The two assassins seize the chance and fire multiple shots. Seeing Cindy standing with them, Michael finally understands he's fallen right into their trap, but he's already on the verge of death. After one last shot ends him for good, Cindy and her team hop on the waiting helicopter and leave in style. The sky over Seattle is dark and heavy with clouds. The hitman Duncan is undergoing a full-body checkup, though he's incredibly skilled and carries a fierce reputation in the assassin world. Everyone calls him the Black Caesar. But after completing over 100 dangerous missions, Duncan's strong body is covered with countless scars, big and small, along with hidden injuries that can never fully heal. Luckily, he's already close to 50, and for a hitman, 50 is the age of retirement. After finishing his checkup, Duncan goes to meet the accountant who served him faithfully for 20 years. Every year, to ease his own conscience, he anonymously donates $200,000 to the same person, and this year's no exception. Years of living on the edge have earned Duncan a fortune, and after retirement, he'll receive from the company a pension worth over $8 million. He just needs to wait 14 more days, because 14 days later will be Duncan's 50th birthday, the day he officially retires. But as a top-tier hitman, the peaceful life he longs for clearly won't come that easily. Not long after, the company's liaison, Vivian, calls him on the phone. Soon after, they meet without wasting words. Vivian hands Duncan a file right away. Inside is the death report of the hitman Michael. This marks the fourth assassin from their company to be murdered this month. According to intel, the ones behind these killings are members of a Russian assassin group who have hired a Mexican hitman to do the job for them. At this moment, that hitman is in Belarus, and the company's boss, Brute, orders Duncan to carry out a revenge mission with a bounty of $1 million. But when it comes to this task, Duncan is deeply unwilling. After all, he's about to retire. There's no reason to stir up trouble at such a crucial time. Yet the fact that the enemy could kill 4 top assassins proves their deadly skill, which is why the boss insists that Black Caesar take the job. However, Vivian's words fail to change Duncan's decision. He simply stands up and walks away. After driving for a long stretch, Duncan reaches a quiet small town in Montana. He stops by a shop to buy some daily supplies, but as he's about to leave, his eyes are drawn to a nearby pet store. Even though he says he doesn't need a pet, Duncan ends up buying a cute little puppy, along with a manual on how to take care of it. Once everything is ready, he drives to a small wooden cabin, which will serve as his hideaway home. Now he begins settling into his retired life, but his bloody past still haunts his dreams. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees a black car, and when he finally manages to open the door, the face of a woman he once killed stares back at him. The nightmare jolts Duncan awake. He instinctively grabs his gun and pulls the trigger, only to realize a moment later the puppy he just bought is dead by his hand. In the midst of the heavy falling snow, Duncan calmly buries the poor little dog. When he looks up, he spots a woman not far away, awkwardly chopping firewood by herself. The sight makes it hard for warm-hearted Duncan to just stand by, but he doesn't step in right away. Instead, he waits until the woman leaves, then secretly chops and stacks all the wood for her, leaving behind a pleasant surprise. Seeing the look of shock on her face, Duncan keeps a straight expression, but inside, he's quietly delighted. Yet even though Duncan insists on staying out of it, Vivian's messages keep coming one after another, driving Duncan to frustration. Out of annoyance, he finally calls her back. It turns out the reason for Vivian's urgency is that Boss Brute refuses to take Duncan's rejection, and to persuade him, he's doubled the pay from $1 million to $2 million. Their conversation lasts barely 30 seconds before Duncan hangs up and destroys his SIM card. As a top assassin, he knows exactly how the company operates, and he does this to make sure no one can trace him. After inserting a new SIM card and calling again, Duncan doesn't promise to take the job. He only tells her to send him the target's details. Such a firm attitude leaves Vivian feeling helpless, but at least Duncan's resistance seems to have softened, so she quickly sends him the target's file. After memorizing the target's face, Duncan sets off for Belarus, where he finds a fallen woman living with her child. He has them check into the hotel where the target is staying, then he calls the front desk to request a repairman. Now disguised as the repairman, Duncan quietly makes his move. He keeps his voice as low as possible. Then he purposely makes some noise to anger the target, who is having a party in the next room. When the target storms out in rage, Duncan spins and smashes him back with one swing. He then pulls out a nail gun and pins him firmly to the wall. After doing all that, Duncan calmly pulls out his pistol and lies down on the floor. He easily takes care of the bodyguards who rush out. When Duncan enters the target's room to search, he surprisingly finds a file about himself. It seems the other side was waiting for him too. Puzzled, Duncan turns back to question the target, but the man acts like he knows nothing. "Do you know who gave the order?" "I know nothing at all. It looks like I have to use other methods." "I'm not lying." Seeing he won't get any useful intel, Duncan shoots him dead. Then he calls Vivian, telling her he has decided to take the job. Vivian's face lights with a conspiratorial smile, but the smile fades the next moment because Duncan sends her a photo of the dead target and tells her the remaining payment must be cleared within 1 day. He also warns that he sensed someone is setting him up, warning Vivian. It's best if she has nothing to do with this. As Duncan suspected, it was all a trap. But no matter how hard he thinks, he could never imagine. The one setting him up is his own boss, Brute. Brute is nothing more than a spoiled madman. The company's previous owner was his father. After his father passed away, Brute naturally inherited the position as the new boss. But how could someone like him manage such a big company? In no time, he lost nearly $30 million. So Brute decided to sell the company, but no one wanted to buy such a mess. That's when he came up with an idea to eliminate all the assassins about to retire. The company had a clear rule. If a hitman dies before retirement, all of his assets will be transferred to his designated relatives. But assassins don't usually have any family, so the money would end up back in the company's hands. After getting rid of the soon-to-retire assassins, their assets could perfectly cover the company's losses. So from beginning to end, there was never a so-called Mexican hitman. It was all Brute's own scheme. After Duncan abruptly ends the call, fear and panic instantly fill Vivian's heart. She rushes to find Brute, urging him to pay the remaining fee to Black Caesar. Otherwise, they'll spend the rest of their lives in fear. Seeing the seriousness on Vivian's face, Brute finally decides to send the rest of the payment, but along with the money, he also sends out his elite A-team, the same team that assassinated Michael at the start. Once the A-team receives the order, they move out immediately. They first track down Duncan's accountant, but even after serving him for 20 years, the cautious Duncan never revealed a single detail. All the accountant knows is that Duncan owns many properties. "Please, spare me." After killing the accountant in anger, the team decides to investigate those scattered properties across different states. From Florida to New Jersey and then to Texas, they discover Duncan's properties are either rented out or taken over by gangs who moved in when they saw no one living there. The team ends up with blood on their hands, but not a single clue. Just as they're at a loss, one of the members finds a donation receipt hidden among the accountant's documents. That's when Hild suddenly realizes the charity organization isn't the key. The key is the bank account number on that receipt. Following the lead, they finally track down Duncan's hideout. Meanwhile, Duncan goes out again to buy supplies, and there he runs into his neighbor, Camille. But the moment Camille sees his face, her expression turns nervous. Then the sound of a doorbell behind her makes her jump and knock over a shelf. After hurriedly cleaning up, she rushes out of the store without looking back. Duncan feels puzzled by her reaction, but his years of solitude stop him from asking questions. On his way back home, Duncan once again sees Camille sitting alone in the cafe. Duncan quietly takes note of her habit, and the next day, he goes there early to wait, pretending it's just a coincidence. Eventually, it's Camille who breaks the silence, but even while talking, her face stays tense. She can't even look Duncan in the eye, holding her coffee cup tightly with both hands. It's clear that deep inside, Camille hides a strong fear of Duncan. Yet after meeting a few more times, the two gradually become familiar. Camille loves photography. She brings her photos to share with Duncan and uses the chance to ask about his background, since she feels there's something different about him compared to other townsfolk. Duncan simply says he works in the funeral business. His daily job is to travel around the world, sending people off. When Camille learns Duncan has visited 99 countries and speaks 8 languages fluently, She immediately suggests he should teach at the local school. After all, in this small town, most people haven't even heard of that many countries. Hearing the idea, Duncan rejects it without hesitation, but his mouth and body seem to disagree, because moments later, Camille is already leading him to the school. In class, Duncan uses an unsharpened curved blade to teach the kids basic techniques. His quick and graceful movements earn him waves of applause. Everyone sit down. He then recalls his days as a hitman, sharing stories of different cultures with the children. But at the end, he even shows them photos of corpses that had been sun-dried for 3 weeks. Such an approach to education leaves the teacher standing in the back, completely shocked. To thank Camille, Duncan buys her a gift which turns out to be a very hardcore pistol. After proudly boasting about his new job as a teacher, he takes Camille into the woods to teach her how to shoot. But as she slowly raises her arm, her hands begin to tremble uncontrollably. A pained expression spreads across her face, as if she's recalling a tragic memory. In the end, she throws the gun away. Duncan doesn't know how to comfort her, so he simply tells her he still has the receipt and can return it to get her something else. After spending so much time together, Camille decides to open up. She tells Duncan that when she was a child, she was brutally assaulted by a man wearing a Santa Claus costume. The incident became a lifelong nightmare. She's always dreamed of finding that man someday, to make him face the evil he committed before pulling the trigger to end it all. Only then, she believes, her nightmares would finally stop. Camille's confession deeply moves Duncan and also fills him with anger as he starts to imagine finding that man in the Santa suit and brutally slaughtering him with an axe. After a long journey, the A-team finally arrives in town. They sit inside their car, watching the bank day and night. Meanwhile, Duncan visits the store again, planning to buy a new gift for Camille. But his movements are soon spotted by the people tailing him. I have the target in sight, right over there. The squad immediately moves according to plan. Cindy arrives early on Duncan's route home, pretending to be a helpless driver with a broken car. Seeing this, the warm-hearted Duncan stops his car at once, but through the rearview mirror, he spots Cindy's revealing chest, and in such a quiet, remote town, a stranger suddenly showing up makes Duncan instantly suspicious. Still, with his skills and courage, he decides to see what this woman is really up to. He brings Cindy back to his house. Using his charger, he powers on her phone. While Cindy pretends to call her teammates, then turns to tell Duncan, because a blizzard is coming, she'll have to stay until tomorrow. Outside, dark clouds gather and snow keeps falling, while inside, the air grows warmer and heavier. A man and a woman alone under one roof, with Cindy's teasing words and flirtatious looks, passion soon takes over both of them. The sounds of their wild night are clearly heard by the A-team members through the bug hidden in Cindy's necklace. Once the sniper confirms position, Cindy uses her trick once again. She bends down again, but the moment the sniper pulls the trigger, Duncan suddenly drops to the ground, and the bullet tears through Cindy's shoulder. Duncan grabs the pistol hidden under his pillow, turns around, and fires 2 quick shots, forcing the men outside to retreat. While dodging, he hurls an axe and finishes off Cindy, who had been relaying his position to the sniper. Hearing their comrade is dead, Hild leads her team to break down the door, but Duncan is nowhere to be found inside. Hidden by the night and the heavy snow, he silently approaches the sniper from behind, and without hesitation, shoots him dead. Duncan then puts on the sniper's headset, picks up the rifle, and fires several shots to shatter the lights in the house, switching the scope to thermal mode. But the battle-hardened Hild instantly realizes his plan, lights a flare, and tosses it away. The heat interference makes Duncan lose his aim for a moment. Meanwhile, another team member sneaks up right behind him, firing a burst straight at the shape under the camo suit. But it's a trap. Duncan had already hidden behind a tree and mercilessly shoots that man dead. The flare is about to burn out. In a rush, Hild quickly hides her body heat behind a fridge, trying to mask her presence, but her breath still gives away her position. Duncan fires twice and takes her down. 2 ambushes in a row make Duncan start to sense something bigger behind all this. From the dead man's pocket, he finds a motel key, drives straight there, only to find a teammate too high on illegal substances who couldn't join the mission. And in her haze, she mutters something to Duncan. Another team member has already captured Camille. After hearing the news, Duncan, burning with worry, rushes to find Porter, a retired hitman. From him, Duncan learns about Brute's plan, and Porter also warns him that Vivian can't be trusted. Right now, Camille is most likely being held at the company's headquarters. With this new intel, Duncan immediately prepares to leave, but Porter stops him, reaching out his right hand. Thinking nothing of it, Duncan shakes it, only to be injected with a sedative. The strong drug takes over, and after a brief struggle, Duncan collapses. Seeing him fall, Porter quickly calls Vivian. It turns out that even though he's old and retired, he's still obsessed with the beautiful Vivian, and that's why he chose to betray Duncan. Meanwhile, the news of the squad's total wipeout makes Brute furious, not just because they were his elite team, but because Hild was also his girlfriend. Now, this situation has become a matter of personal revenge. When Duncan finally wakes up again, he finds himself tied to a chair in the company's interrogation room. As the heavy door slowly opens, Brute, dressed in red, walks in carrying his toolbox. There are only 4 days left until Duncan's retirement, and Brute decides to spend them torturing him. After showing Duncan the miserable state of Camille, Brute turns on some music and picks up his pliers, beginning his twisted and brutal torture. The following days feel like pure hell for Duncan. The ruthless Brute leaves countless non-lethal but excruciating wounds all over his body. On the 3rd day, as Brute resumes his torment, his favorite knife suddenly snaps inside Duncan's flesh. Enraged and humiliated, Brute climbs onto the table, slashes Duncan's face hard with the blade, then cruelly drives it straight into his left eye. Hearing Duncan's scream of agony, Brute finally leaves the room in satisfaction. Once the lights go out, Duncan, lying on the floor, starts to move, fighting through the pain to pull the broken blade from his body and uses it to unlock the chains binding his limbs. When the lights flicker back on, his one remaining eye burns with fury and killing intent. As a guard walks close, Duncan suddenly lunges, snapping the man's wrist with a fierce twist, then spins around and breaks another guard's leg, grabbing his pistol in the same motion, and with a swift roll, takes down every guard in the room. He smashes the power box beside him. At that moment, Brute reaches the door. Hearing the screams from inside, he instantly realizes what has happened and throws aside his bodyguards, scurrying away in panic. But those guards are no match for the Black Caesar. As they fight and retreat, Duncan hunts them down one by one. After the fierce battle covered in blood, Duncan steps into the hallway, grabs a fire extinguisher, and hurls it forward. Using the smoke as cover, he engages the incoming reinforcements once again. Though Duncan's skills are unmatched, the narrow hallway leaves no room to dodge, and during the fight, he gets shot in the right leg. When the final gunshot fades, silence fills the corridor. Bodies lie everywhere across the floor. Exhausted and drenched in blood, Duncan drags his nearly broken body to the home of his friend Jasmine, an arms dealer. Though weak, his mind is still clear. He knows that now that he's escaped, Brute will likely take it out on Camille. So he uses Jasmine's phone to call Vivian, telling her he'll trade his life for Camille's safety. After saying that, his body gives out, and he faints in Jasmine's arms. In his sleep, Duncan dreams again, reliving that tragic scene. He jolts awake, realizing his whole body is wrapped in bandages. Though his wounds need more time to heal, Duncan can't afford to wait any longer. He borrows a large cache of weapons from Jasmine, including a machine gun controlled by laser gloves. He loads all the weapons into the car, says goodbye to Jasmine, and heads to an abandoned factory, where he starts setting up traps and defenses. Once everything is ready, Duncan calls Vivian again, this time letting the call last over 30 seconds so that she can trace his location. As expected, once his position is confirmed, Brute sends all his remaining elite assassins. Along with Vivian, straight to the site, one black car after another pulls up. Vivian, dressed in striking red, walks toward Duncan first. Through the cameras carried by her men, Brute watches the live feed from his room, his face filled with excitement. What shocks Vivian is that even facing such overwhelming numbers, Duncan remains completely calm. He even says, out of respect for their years of working together, he'll give her a chance to live. Vivian assumes he's lost his mind and refuses to waste any more words, turning away to declare his death. But just as the other assassins rush forward, Duncan puts on his gloves and raises both hands. The sight that follows leaves Brute speechless in horror, while tears of terror roll down Vivian's face. She can't believe that all the elite fighters she brought were wiped out in an instant. But Duncan doesn't kill her. He simply leaves her in the factory to face her own fate. He glances at the camera one last time before turning to leave. As night falls again, Duncan once more becomes the terrifying Black Caesar, walking alone toward the company's headquarters. His steady, powerful stride sends the remaining bodyguards trembling in fear. Ignoring the frantic Brute, they turn and flee from the building. Duncan doesn't bother chasing them, because right now, he has only one goal. He grabs a sharp axe from nearby. Meanwhile, Brute tries to order his men to bring Camille over as a hostage, but his men reply with some very unpleasant words. At that moment, Duncan appears right behind him. Without a word, he swings the axe down and ends Brute's life. Then he gently lifts the tortured Camille in his arms and walks out of the place. Back in their secluded cabin, under Duncan's careful care, Camille's condition slowly improves. Just when he thinks everything is finally over, he suddenly wakes up in shock and sees on the bed a pile of donation receipts and several newspapers reporting a family brutally murdered with only a little girl left alive. Those harsh, painful words pull Duncan back into his nightmare once again. As he turns around, he sees Camille standing there, tears streaming down her face, gun in hand. It turns out that many years ago, Duncan had taken on a job, believing there was only one target in the car. But after firing the shot, he realized his target's family was sitting inside the car. The horrifying sight filled Duncan's heart with guilt and self-blame, becoming the deepest wound in his soul. To atone for his mistake, Duncan secretly began supporting the only surviving orphan, but he never wanted to disturb her life, so he never saw her again. That orphan turned out to be Camille. The moment she first saw Duncan, she recognized him, for that face had been burned into her memory. After learning the truth, tears of regret streamed down Duncan's face. He knows no matter what he does, he can never make it right. So he decides to let Camille pull the trigger, believing that dying by her hand would finally set him free. As Duncan finishes speaking, Camille breaks down completely, and after a painful struggle within, she finally pulls the trigger. The sudden gunshot scares a flock of birds from the trees, but the bullet doesn't hit Duncan. At that moment, Camille understands Duncan too is just a weapon. What she truly wants now is to find out who ordered her father's death. And Duncan decides to help her uncover the truth as a way to make amends to her and to redeem himself. This movie reminds us of 4 important lessons. First, if you're about to retire, the company that owes you a pension probably wants you dead as soon as possible. Every extra day you live is another day they have to keep paying you. Second, professionals are terrifying when they do their job. Third, never trust anyone. The closer they are, the easier they'll betray you. Fourth, always keep at least one person or one place that will never betray you no matter what. Otherwise, you'll end up with nowhere left to die.